Welcome once again. This is Channel 196 on Star Times. This is School TV. Welcome to Crossfire. This is your political platform where we bring to you very interesting goings-on, stories in the society, especially as it borders our country, Nigeria. Nigeria is a very big country of close to 200 million people. And government is trying to do everything that it can to ensure that peace reign in every strata of the government. Now, we have beautiful stories that we'll be bringing your way today, and I'm not alone. Ishoma Gaine is in the studio with me. Ishoma, good morning.
Good morning.
How are you doing today?
Good morning, countrymen, and welcome.
All right, we are expecting some gentlemen to join us in the course of the show today, and we definitely hope that traffic will allow them to make it down to the studio in good time. But notwithstanding, we will go ahead with what we have as a very bumper package of this episode today, and we have so many stories to actually dealt with. Now, the very first one that we would like to inform Nigerians is to let you know that the 70th UN General Assembly is still ongoing, and a couple of issues have been treated, on that particular, assembly over a few days. In the last 3 days, a couple of issues came up, and it borders around the speeches that many of the presidents have made out there in the United States of America. Putin made a lot of, President Putin of Russia made a lot of statements that are really very controversial. And at the same time, the President of the United States of America, President Barack Obama, made a lot of other statements that was really, really very confronting the authorities of the Russia being a superpower. And all of this is pointing to the fact that every effort is being mustered to help fight a common enemy, and that is terrorism in every part of the world. Now, we'll be bringing you stories around that in details as we go on the show. Now, let's quickly take some stories that are really very trending around us in Nigeria, and then we go ahead into treating and dealing with major issues for today. And our first story borders around security. Heavy security presence at the National House of Assembly as the House, the 8th Assembly gathers again, resumes today. There have been a lot of controversies, especially as it borders around the President of the Senate, Bukola Saraki, and the supposed untowards list of assets, that was declared, and is being harassed or probably properly dealt with by the CCT on so many wrong information that were provided in that particular list. There has been a heavy security beef up at the National Assembly complex ahead of today's resumption from annual recess by federal lawmakers. The two road leading to the complex from the office of the head of service and the federal secretariat were barricaded to allow for ease of control of human and traffic activities. Now, 6 patrol vans were also strategically stationed at the main entrance of the complex, while a heavy presence of armed policemen and others were noticed. A senior police officer who refused to be identified said the action became imperative following the various unfavorable security statements and body languages that have been read. Now, Ishoma, let me quickly set the ball rolling by asking you this. And this is a very, very critical question in the minds of Nigerians. Will and can Buki Saraki survive this particular issues that is bordering around him?
I have my personal opinions on this issue.
I don't
think I will want to share it with Nigerians because I will want the Code of Conduct Tribunal to do their own duties freely and fairly without any media, judgment. So
no,
I beg to reserve my comment.
Now, as a matter of fact, this is a show where
I know.
Opinions matters.
I know it does.
And as a matter of fact, people are waiting out there to actually, allow us to make our opinions so that they can be informed, and then they can actually, come up with opinions too, and be a part of the show.
Let me just be balanced. Since you need a response, let me just be balanced. But it may not be the totality of my opinions, though, but let me give you an answer. Now, I think if Bukola Saraki would survive this, it all depends on the facts before him. And so far from what we've seen how the prosecuting counsel has been up to task. I mean, if he survives it, it will be a huge miracle. But will the Nigerian people lose faith in our judiciary and in democracy? Probably.
Anyway, most of the times when something like this happen, oftentimes we have seen, antecedents. We have seen a couple of issues. Late Senate President Chuba Ogadibo, had an encounter, and this particular one unseated him as the president of the Senate, and he was thrown back to the floor of the Senate, and it became really very, influential when it comes to decision making in the House. So if eventually Buki Saraki survives, the rubble and so many forces that are militating against is remaining as the president of the Senate, then some certain elements of the House of Assembly will begin to play out. Let me give you some certain elements as I mean. You will realize that, the constituent of the House today is a function of the ruling party and the House, and the former ruling party, and that is the PDP and the APC. And don't forget that what we had before, especially during the last, vote of confidence platform, where Senate President Bukola Saraki was actually, given that confidence that we believe in your leadership and we will support you. We had even some of the APC members who were not part of the election that eventually brought him to fore as the the president of the Senate. We have another group of PDP, and PDP have started making statements, not now. We will not turn our back against the president, of the Senate as we speak. So have a major discord if eventually he would have to be impeached. So, there are so many things that are...
I'm not oblivious of the fact that even the alleged Senate rules which were forged is still another issue which is hanging somewhere. So at the end of the day, some of these may be the facts which they may use to nail him. We're talking about, the Code of Conduct Tribunal, and then some of these other issues. So even if he escapes this one, the possibility that the other one may be resurrected against him may come up. So at the end of the day, I see him leaving. I see him no longer becoming the Senate president. And for any individual, now the thing is, even if that happens now, other legislative members will be very careful, because they wouldn't want to be seen as supporting anything which has been seemed to be tainted with illegality or fraud, because they wouldn't want to also vacate their respective seats which they occupied over there. Understand that forgery is a criminal offense. So the possibility now that they'll be careful, but they'll be trying to play their cards underground, of course, those chances are high. So
anyway, another very major element to consider, Ishoma, is the fact that APC has always believed in the leadership of Akume, for instance. And so, are we saying that there's a possibility that maybe on the long run, that Akume eventually assumes the leadership role of the Senate if eventually current president of the Senate, Bukola Saraki, is impeached.
I'm not rooting for any individual.
Or another,
I am not rooting for any individual.
Or the party is going to field another personality in its entirety.
I think let the desire of the Nigerian people take its course. And the desire of the Nigerian people can only be achieved.
I think the desire of the Nigerian people is Bukola Saraki.
If that's the case, then let that be done.
Anyway, the prospect of peaceful resumption in the two chambers of the National Assembly today was that, yesterday being concluded by uncertainty despite troubleshooting efforts that were still in the works as press time last night. It was fair last night that should there be, any situation in which, the Senate will not be able to convene, or the National Assembly Assembly will not be able to convene. Anyway, that is what has informed the heavy security that we're experiencing there as we speak. But there's a need for Nigerians to understand the fact that, I mean, the rule of law should be given its way. I mean, the Nigerian constitution should be promoted, and things that are not properly done well, even before now, should be corrected. And if eventually the CCT, that's the, the conduct tribunal, eventually found, Senate President Bukola Saraki guilty, as alleged, then there will definitely be a change of mantle.
Some people have been clamoring. Some people have been clamoring now that, in line with all the the Code of Conduct Tribunal matters and all of that, which is answering to right on that, he should step down. He should honorably step down. Do you support that?
That he should honorably step down. Now, the point here is, if a matter is in the court of law, what obtains most of the time is the ability of the court, the appellate court, to be able to convincingly convict that someone has actually committed an offense. Now, when everything is being done with every reasonable doubt that a crime actually has been established, committed, then the law should have its course.
No, but we've seen in advanced societies,
don't forget
where mere allegations of this nature, even more grievous than this, allegations against, Senate President. But we've seen how these individuals, on their own volition, resigned so they could be able to answer charges, those charges which were alleged against them. Now, we're coming down to Nigeria, and we're wondering why, okay, well, it's been a week now since the last sitting, and then, I mean, people have been waiting for him to tender his resignation, and that hasn't happened. Now, the House will be sitting today. I mean, I'm thinking that the House session today may be really rowdy because we may have those factions which were opposing, his candidature as Senate President. I'm looking at those ones taking opportunity of this incident to ride on that, to cause trouble in the House. Now, other Nigerians are saying, for posterity's sake, we need to teach people, this is a government of change, we need to teach people how things should be done in a proper democratic setting. That's the angle which they're calling that he should resign on his own and answer to those charges. Now, you see that at the end of the day, I mean, it looks like things may not work out favorably for him as some people think. So do you think, I mean, for me, I think I would want him to resign. Personally, that's my opinion. I would want him to resign and answer the charges before him. And if he's been cleared, beautiful. That will also add to the resume, to his resume. It will also serve as, deterrence to future leaders of tomorrow that, look, if there is anything indictful or any allegation of any sort, no matter how little, no matter how big that is, one thing you should put first, the Nigerian people, your dignity also. And if that entails you resigning from that seat which you're occupying, for you to be able to answer claims, then so be it. Anyway,
there are so many intrigues today, based on the quantum of issues that are bordering around our nation. We're still talking about Boko Haram. I mean, the insurgents, I mean, there's a serious war against them, and that will be leading us to our next story anyway. And then we heard reliably, across, it's been in the public domain that the ministerial list will eventually be going to the Senate. And so if eventually we don't have a coordinated and a peaceful session at the Senate today, it will eventually, justify the fact that these men and women that have made the list will not be screened. And if that does not happen, it simply means September is going to pass and Nigeria still will not have ministers.
Well, you see, because until they are screened, I hope Mr. President addresses the Senate.
I doubt it. Mr. President is still in the U.S. and there are various forms which he can address. I mean, you could do that through a letter. Okay, let's see. You can do that through a Skype let's see how far that story we go, and then we definitely bring you updates. If we have any on the show, or tomorrow we'll bring you, fresh stories as it borders around what is happening in the the National Assembly. Now, the police, the military came out really very strong yesterday, saying that because of the very close marking that they have given to the insurgents, especially in Borno State and across the tip of the borders into all the neighboring, nations, that they are beginning to take a flight. And so the general officer commanding the 1st Division of the Nigerian Army, Major General Adeniyi Oyebanjo, has called on religious and community leaders in the northwest geopolitical zone to watch out for the fleeing members of the Boko Haram sect who have been rooted out from their base in the northeast. It's also called, for a collaboration, with the military by local chiefs and, others and individuals, to fish out the criminals amongst them and let this matter, be finally brought to rest. Let's take this call. Modus, good morning. Hello, Modus. Hello, Modus. Hello, Modus, are you there?
Good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Can you speak up, please?
Good morning, Wenga and Isioma.
Good morning.
Good morning, Wenga and Isioma.
This is Dapo and Isioma. Go ahead and make your contribution.
Okay, Dapo and Isioma, I commend you for this, your program.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, Dapo and Isioma, I commend you for the program.
Thank you very much.
Okay. So I want to speak concerning the resumption of the Senate.
Okay.
So I expect a free session.
Hopefully.
I expect a free session because the interest of the country should be uppermost in the heart of everybody. And they should realize that they are our representatives.
Yeah.
They are not going there for personal aggrandizement or anything like that.
That's true.
And then they should allow the court, the CCT, the court, they should allow justice to take its course. Yeah. And there shouldn't be rowdiness. There shouldn't be jumping offense as we used to see in the past. So concerning that, so we expect a history section.
All right.
The ministerial nominees, it is getting out of, we are running out of patience. We are running out of patience, and then there's a way the thing will come. Then the expectation, our expectations have been very high. We're expecting sense, and by the time these things, the names are released, we find out that there are people who are still, we know very well. So what I'm saying is that they should release this thing and to release the tension in the heart of the people. And then we expect quick confirmation of them, those that are qualified, so that the nation will move forward.
Thank you so much, Modus.
All right. Before we go on a break, it is very important that we quickly bring you up to speed on some certain issues that the Senate will have to sit on immediately so that we can move forward. Such concerns, include, and they are not limited to the fact that there have been a leadership crisis occasioned by the emergence of the Senate president, talking about the doctored, House rule that eventually made, Senate President Bukola Saraki to emerge as one. And then don't let us forget the one of the very big issue over the sharing of principal offices that has been, that has torn apart, what we can call the close relationship that should be experienced in the National Assembly. And then we have the reduction of salaries and allowances of the legislators, which has not been concluded. And then we have the power sector probe. This probe, has been, I'm very sure reports have been collated and submitted, and it needs to really be properly addressed. I remember the terms and conditions given to the power probe that in 6 months' time, that all houses must be metered, and any house that is not metered must not be no bill should, and people should not pay, and no harassment, and all of that. So some of these issues, and then now we have an additional one, and that's a crisis that probably may eventually unseat Senate President Bukola Saraki. So when we come back from this short break, we definitely will be bringing you more stories. And don't forget, you can be a part of the show. Pick up your phone and let us know exactly what you feel about some of these issues that we're bringing up. Let's go now. We'll be right back.
So, did you like what you just saw? I know you did. It's very simple. If you want to see more, just subscribe to our channel right now.